Hi, I'm back. So today we are going to spread some of these details which I've done over the last few hours, and just adding some of this down towards the legs. I think the character is going to be clothed, so he'll be wearing kind of pants, or she will be wearing kind of pants. So we're just focusing around the limbs and maybe anywhere that is exposed, right? So we're going to add that same treatment down in today's video. I also want to kind of talk about like how this like the detailing, like what's the logic behind it, right? It's not just something that looks good or something that I feel like it's pleasing or suitable. Over here there is a couple of those biomasses and lumps, right? And again, going back to the logic of these characters are they are basically mutated, right? Genetically mutated. So the body is kind of growing cells and growing body parts like bones and biomasses, and they basically the body doesn't know how to stop, right? So it's continually growing, and that's where you have all these kind of like flashes or biomasses that is drooping, right? So this is the seeker, right? So it hunts based on hearing. That means the sight is kind of covered, and I think in the previous stream, I have a earlier version of this character, but it's not detailed to this extent. So this is just a continuation from there. So the intent is for this kind of bio lumps to be growing across the body, and I want it to be a little bit asymmetrical. So you have a lot of this kind of folding biomasses or body fluid or flesh that is kind of overgrowing, and then underneath it, it's this kind of more of a wrinkled zombie-like dried skin, right? So I have them kind of spread across areas like that. So it's kind of a mixture between the two. We have some kind of veins, right? So like this kind of veins where usually I will kind of use the standard brush to accentuate it, something like that, right? And it's a kind of mixture between these three elements. And then lastly, it's some of those cuts, right? So either the zombie or rather the original host, right? The human that was in this body was attacked by other infected or other converted, if you will. And these injuries were inflicted back then, like some kind of like a bite mark, for example. And then subsequently, with certain scratches, maybe the zombies were fighting each other, or they basically like the Mauler or like larger bosses were kind of going around and hit some of these smaller guys. So these damages can be coming from there as well. So either way, I think it's just having some kind of additional like layered details. I am not exactly happy with the current version of this. I'm trying to see like those biomasses could tie in with a bit of those wrinkles, right? This kind of wrinkled skin. So I can still continue to add those details in. I think later on when we're doing texturing, these biomasses will have slightly emissive or kind of semi-translucent material, so that you can see that there's actually fluid underneath it, right? So I would like to kind of keep them a little bit round and blobby, and also clean in terms of like how the skin is stretched, right? Because it's kind of bloated, and then around it you have all the folds because of the bloatness, right? And the skin fold is kind of accumulated around the sides of it. These are kind of maybe small lumps or overgrown skin, so they can be like scalp as well. So these are additional details that we can spread them down at the bottom. Right, so to begin around the leg area, let me just check we are using the perspective. That's good. We can start with, I'm going to go with asymmetry, right? Because it will not be too good looking if we have like identical overgrowth on both sides. And this character is kind of really quite heavy towards the zombies left, right? Meaning our right. So then I might want to spread a heavier overgrown masses around the right leg of the zombie. So let's just go in and start doing that. And usually I'll use a clay build-up brush. And I'm just gonna go in and add in some of these larger masses. Right now this is completely artistic, right? Like I don't have a kind of like a fixed plan of where specifically I'm drawing. I'm studying and looking at where could be the best location. Like right now I'm seeing like this 3 which looks like a happy face, so then I want to kind of start and break that up, right? And also I don't want all of them to have equal sizes, so I want to make sure that's also spread out correctly. Once those are in, then we can go in and talk about maybe adding some of those droop, right? So for example over here, you might want to kind of link this up slightly, so these two are kind of connected slightly, right? So that breaks the kind of like a spherical shape. And then over here, because there's just so much fluid in it, right, I want it to kind of hang on the side of the skin, so then there's a bit of drooping on this front. So I want to kind of add a bit of that bulge, smooth it out, right? And then maybe even come in and use the Damien Standard brush to just do a cut like that, so that it really looks like there is a fold, right? And then like this. So I'm gonna do a recalculate so that we can get those polygons in the sorry, the wireframes, so that when we smooth it, we don't lose the details. Yeah, because if we don't recalculate, then Dynamesh is technically still working with the previous wireframe. Then when we smooth, it will just basically disappear. The details will disappear. Right, so something like that. So we should always come back and check to make sure like the spread of the biomasses are not overly done, so that we are always looking at the character as a whole. I might create a few more variants of the seeker. Let's say like a female version that has a slightly different body parts and details. Like let's say, because this right now this zombie doesn't have breasts, right? So it's basically a male, for example, and then a female will have a slightly different body archetype, but it plays the same way. So it just give the world a little bit of variant, that you don't see the same seeker multiple times. In the previous video I've shared on the live stream, I've produced the molar. And the molar will also have to have a couple of different variants as well. So those are something that I will be working on. I did test the animation for the molar. If you haven't checked out the rigging part, do check out the previous video. Upcoming videos for the molar, I will be just animating because the rig has been tested and it's working out pretty well. I've also thrown the molar into the game engine and tested the scale. Everything looks great. It is actually it feels really good to see my character in there, because we've been looking at the mannequins for coming 3 months. It's great to be seeing like something closer to what I intend to be in the game. Right, okay, so we have a couple of biomasses here. Let's maybe not spread it too far. And this kind of lumps that are kind of spaced out further away from each other, they do represent the blisters, right? So they do carry fluid inside them. But to make the scalp, for example, like those some scales you see from the crocodile, or maybe like the kaiju, or like a reptilian creature, you might want to kind of put them closer to each other like that. So then it looks like a texture instead of just lumps. But yeah, do remember to kind of vary the sizes like that. Right, so it has a kind of like a transition from those lumps or blisters into like normal skin. Right. The next part, I think we will go in and add in the wrinkles, so that you can see. Maybe we want to spread some of those from the kneecap down towards here. There will be quite a fair bit of fold from the kneecaps, because that's basically skin that are stretching and squashing when the knee bends. So it's a good place to add in those detail and then spread them down. So the treatment will be something like this. Right, around this kind of area where it spreads and then comes over into this. I don't intend to, bore you guys by sitting through the entire sculpt, which is why I did like the above ready, and then I could show you my intention. If you want to stick through, you can, and then that's basically the end goal. And And I think, as I mentioned in the previous live stream, if I do feel like there is a value in sharing certain parts, for example, how do I sculpt the skin like that, details like this for creature design, then you can watch this. Okay, and then let's add a bit of those skin sculpt. So we have some kind of transition outwards. It could be smaller, lighter, so that you have some kind of like a fading effect. So it transits back out again and starts spacing them out. Yeah. This is the kind of part where I really enjoy doing, and there's no point doing it using AI. AI is here to supplement, not to replace. So yeah, these are the kind of work I look forward to doing. And I wouldn't want AI to replace this part of it. It takes all the fun out of game production. Right, so I get to kind of make creative decisions as I go, so this part is very, very enjoyable. As I always share with my students, this part of the work is very creative, so I'm using half of my brain, and the other half, usually it will be freed up. That means I can be watching Netflix. So I'll usually have like Netflix or YouTube on the side, or maybe even listening to podcasts as I'm working, and it just continue to churn out work. So it's really, really enjoyable, very therapeutic. So yeah, I don't intend to take that away from, using AI to take that away. Okay, so the next part, let's go in and start adding in, as I mentioned, those folded skin, right? So folded skin, I'm usually using this Damien standard. So I'm just gonna go in and spread in the details. I'm a bit free with how I am drawing the lines. I think at the start I was more cautious about like, oh, I need to be careful with where I draw these lines. In fact, if you draw something wrong, you just hit smooth, it will be gone. So don't be too careful about it, right? Just let it flow, be creative, and let the strokes inform you on how things should flow. And then if you did it wrong, then just redo it. It's fine, right? So once you kind of tense up, then the creativity stops flowing, right? So just feel at ease and be enjoying the process, right? So over here, this is something that as I'm kind of sculpting at the top, I realize it looks really good when the skin kind of fold, yeah, and then spread, the wrinkles kind of spread across in between those blisters, like that, yeah. Right, so over here that they don't really bend much, but because the zombie's skin is quite dry, so over here it has a bit of those folds that is happening. It's not completely clean, right? So if we take another good example, it's like that, right? So the skin fold, but then at the same time you also have like a lesser folded skin. Like this is pretty extreme. This is pretty extreme, but over here it's something light, right? So we can also replicate that here as well. Usually after adding these Damien standard, I'll come in and just do a bit of a clay build up to create that kind of layering. So instead of just cutting, we are also adding, so it helps to give that layering effect. I do apply these techniques as well for like belts, leather belts, anything that has kind of like a skin material or texture. I will apply this method as well. So it's not just for zombie skin, it's actually quite applicable to a wide range of items or sculpts. So yeah, just be creative. The technique doesn't really dictates like the application. It can be used as long as you find it suitable to achieve that same result. Yeah, for creature designs as well, I think. Like for example, if you are sculpting a kaiju, Godzilla, some kind of reptilian creature, this will be very suitable. Right, so we have some kind of folded skin coming from the knee, spreading it towards the blisters. Right. We will add in the veins later as well, because the veins are kind of like floating on the skin, right? So let's finish the skin first. Right, so something like that. So yeah, my strokes are kind of a bit free right now. Like my intent is that I want the fold to kind of go around in between the blisters. So just have that chain of thought. I think then the rest of your body would, your hands would just follow the intention. This kind of strokes are also quite similar to sculpting wood grain. You know, like wood grains are usually like that, right? So it's quite similar, but right now we can't apply that here. It's not a wood material, but the technique is also the same, right? Just using Damien standard could create that kind of effect. So we have something like this. As I'm sharing as well, I am aware that my live stream isn't consistently at the same time at the same day. So maybe for someone to catch my live stream would be difficult because you don't really know when it's happening. But again, I think that's something that I will maybe solidify or be more consistent with if there is a crowd, right? Because right now there's no crowd at all. Even after the video has been published, the view is not that high. So yeah, it's again something that I will be more consistent with as the channel grows. If not, then I'm just gonna keep this as a form of like a vlog to keep a record of my progress. And just to share as well for anybody that is interested. Like I've been speaking to friends, colleagues, students that, hey, I'm producing a game, and be like, wait, well, what are you working on? Instead of having to, you know, verbally describe everything and showing them everything I have, I just pointed them to the channel. So just, hey, check it out. I have all these updates along the way. I've been working on the UI, I've been working on the pickup system and whatnot, and right now on the character design. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna kind of stretch this out. I'm really looking forward to sculpting the female character, like the main protagonist of the story. So that's something that I would like to get in before we return back into Unreal for the further refinement of the game systems. Like, because right now, as I mentioned, I realized that I'm at the stage where the animation is to be quite close to my intention. Because if not, I might risk myself running into redoing every of the setup again. I wouldn't say like 100% of it, but a majority of it, because the animation, the way it links, the way it connects, the way it blends between animation, the weight and the speed, right? Everything kind of all depends on the current scale and size and animation of the characters. So I realized that, and I think it's a great time to just flush out all these intentions as well. I've been waiting to get to this stage anyways, just excited and holding it back for as long as I can. Yep, as I'm working, I think you can really tell that we have something around this part. Like over here, you're probably kind of thinking like, okay, so how do we spread this out? Usually I think I'll start by thinning the amount of detail, right? It's almost like a fall off. So you have something that is very intense, followed by something that is kind of less intense. So it helps you have that transition into nothingness instead of having to I do see like lots of character designs or maybe even in TV series or completed characters by other professionals where the amount of details has been overly dressed. There is no space on the, like, no surfaces on the characters that gives you a break. Like the whole character is just filled with details, right? So that kind of balancing needs to be attained. At least that's my own taste as an art director. Like I always like to have pockets of details around like characters, asset, environment, and you also have pockets of emptiness, right? So you give a breather. If it's just, I think, the same as how if a viewer is constantly stimulated, not just visually but also auditory, right? Music that is too loud, or constantly climatic, then you kind of lose the effect, right? You always want to kind of have the up and down in music, in art, right? Where you have a kind of roller coaster, if you will, emotional roller coaster. And to really attain something that is intense, you first need to have something that is quiet, right? For example, a horror movie, usually before the ghost comes out or the spirit comes out, there's a complete silence. That suspense is what builds up the tension, right? And then when the spirit or the ghost do eventually appear, you get that shock. So it's the same throughout any art form to kind of stimulate or invoke emotions, and that's how you kind of pace the creative space. Let me see. I do feel like it's a bit heavy, but that means the rest of the other parts maybe we want to keep it lighter, because right now thankfully I kind of picked the opposite side, right? Because if not, then the entire right side of this body here is going to be heavy. I like that it's actually spread out. So over here I think I will just add another lump, because I feel like there is not enough details on the inner side of the thigh or the legs. So I'll just add this here. The seeker, I mean, most of the zombies would be barefooted, but I do have an intention of having the AI to drop loots, right? So like the clothings that we've demonstrated in previous live streams or videos that I've shared in this playlist, is that player can extract these materials and then deconstruct it in the workbench, and thereafter construct other crafting items from those. Right, so basically the zombie will be wearing clothes, pants, even shoes and boots, right, where you can pick up after you killed it. So basically, looting. We are at the 21 minutes mark, so I'll be conscious of time. But you can see that the application is pretty much repeating. It's just a matter of spreading it or to the rest of the surface. As I'm also sculpting across different zombies, I'm creating a visual language, right? I'm creating like how this applications are applied. So what I kind of broke down at the earlier part of the video, like, oh, this is the blister. These are the blisters. These are the wrinkles. These are hard skin that has grown over time. You have veins. You have the respective details. I'm breaking it down into like formulas so that I can repeat it, right? But in a work context, in an industry context, I could also pass that information down to 3D artists or maybe even concept artists, right? So that they have a formula to work with. And that way it can be consistent in application. And then from there, it's just a matter of adjusting the value. Like, oh, this is too much, this is too little, and then adjustment will be made. But in terms of its core formula, it has already been defined. So that way, when I'm producing respective surface area, I just have to remember that there is that 4 recipes and constantly apply them. I'm actually curious as well if anybody that is watching, which part of the world are you at? And maybe the live stream could be catered more to your time zone if there is a majority of you guys coming from a single part of the world. Let's say US West Coast, East Coast, or are you more from, Europe, Central Asia, East Asia? Be interested to know. Or Singapore. I'm guessing most of you guys will be my students if you're watching. If you guys have a better idea on like how I can reach a larger audience, please share with me as well. Should I go on Twitch? You know, maybe some other streaming platforms that are more active, I guess, across different time zones. Maybe I'll try going there, since I'm already streaming anyways. It's just a matter of reaching the right audience. So just use the comment section and share with me if you want to. I do feel like there is quite too much wrinkling that is happening here, so I'm just using the H polish to press them down. You can still see the bumpiness, but it's not as obvious. So just gently tapping on the surface to just iron it out so that we don't get that much of it. Right, and then maybe some of here, this area here, I want to kind of link it up. So I'm just going to go back and add in a bit of that clay build-up, very subtle. Something like that. I would believe that there's a lot of folds that's at the back as well, because it's, again, where the joints are rotating, there will be lots of skin folding. So we first add in the cut marks, right, to get the wrinkles. These are basically like wood grains as well if you are sculpting on a wood. That's the first step. In fact, the first step is to add in the lumps, but I mean, this area doesn't have any biomasses, right? And then the second step is to go in and sculpt the protruding details, right? So that's using clay build-up. Smooth it if it's too obvious. Okay, and the surface is getting a little bit boring, so then we can just add in some of these lumps. We're still missing the veins though, right? So we will need to add those in. Just be careful that you don't spread the bumps like equally spaced out, right? So make sure like you give them variation. Some they are nearer, some they are further. So they look more natural. Like it's a human tendency to space them out equal, and even I'm catching myself doing that too. Some of this could grow on lumps as well. So they're basically skin, right? So the lumps could have already been grown on the skin, and then the blisters comes underneath it. So they elevate. They're elevated. Sorry. Yeah. And then we can also add in the veins now. So I'm using a standard brush, and I'm just coming in to just draw. And usually the veins goes like that. Right, and then like this. They usually kind of flow down around the sides, and then back onto another blister, and then come back up again. Maybe they link back down. Over here, that goes across. Just try not to get the same pattern again and again, where it becomes obvious that you are applying the same recipe, right? Have it spread somewhere else. Oh yeah, it branches out. We rebuild. Feels like I'm fighting the geometry now, which means I don't have enough poly counts to work with. Right, okay, then let's spread it further down. Conscious of time, we're at 30 minutes mark. 9 minutes has passed since the last time check. So this part I'm not going to add too much. So it's kind of going towards like the ribcage detail here, right? We don't want it too compact or too protruding. So we're just going to add in a few cuts here and there so that we have something to work with. And then from there we can just come in and sculpt the extrusions and that transition into nothing. Like for example, here it goes into nothing. Right, so the surface are kind of not left untouched. Over here. Right, pretty subtle so that we can have that transition down to nothingness. I also do recall there's quite a fair bit of this kind of skin fold around the back as well, right? If you look at your own leg, you will see those folds too. Just maybe not this obvious. It's a zombie that we're looking at, so the skin is pretty dry. Once you feel like the surface is getting a bit mundane, then you can add in some of those lumps. Or maybe even veins. Or maybe some cuts and damages. Maybe I'll show you like how to add in those cuts and damages. You can do one around the leg, like maybe the host, the original human, was bit on the leg and then it spread. Right, so something like that. Let's also spread some of those veins down so it doesn't just stop abruptly around the area. We can kind of spread down to this area and then it branches off. And then further branches. Right, same for here. Okay. This feels a bit too much. Let's add one of those like bite marks. So you use a clay buildup. Can we add it somewhere that is maybe less? Should we add it on the inner side or the outer? Let's maybe add here. Okay. So like the back bite marks, you could just use the clay buildup and hold Alt and press on the geometry, on the sculpt. Right, so I'm kind of forming like teeth mark where it's kind of and then over here maybe we'll have the lower teeth that is biting on the right. And let's do a recalculate so that we have enough polygons to work with, and then use Damien Standard to come in and cut through. And so maybe there's some tearing that is happening. Maybe some teeth that are closer to each other and forming like a deeper cut or a connected cut. This is using Damien Standard. Right, so that from far it looks like there is a bite mark already. So what we are missing is that after it has been beaten, usually the skin will try to regrow. And that forms like basically the scarring tissue. Those are usually quite bumpy around the bite marks. So yeah, the skin is still working, right? Like the overgrown aspect of the zombie is still coming from the overgrown skin tissues. So the growing part is still there. It's just that the host, the mental state of the creature is gone. It is now overtaken by the virus or that cell mutation. So I want to kind of come in and add in a bit of those additional details to kind of link the two up together. Okay. And then we want to maybe add in a few lumps. I feel like it's kind of in isolation for too much. So I want to just use the lump to be like, okay, there's maybe some infection that's happening because he was bit here, and then the cell overgrowth get triggered, right, or spread from here. So we can have now this is forming a straight line. So again, catching myself doing that, and I want to kind of break that line by introducing some other. These two are almost identical, similar. So I'm gonna add in one more. We built. Yeah, so we have something for the lake. I don't think the player is gonna look at the lakes like this close, right? It's not meant to be. So it's more like of viewing it from maybe this distance as you're fighting. Maybe you're crouching and then you're getting a bit closer, but it will be roughly this distance. So we should judge the distance. Judge the detail based on this distance. Oh yeah, I do feel like it's getting a bit kind of noisy. So I want to kind of mute those details. Smooth them out. Maybe even flatten some of them. Okay. So let's do the same for on the other leg, but maybe less bumpy. So more of wrinkles only. And then we can maybe call it done for this stream. We're at the 37 minute mark. So seems like a good place to stop. If there's more sharing in the future, then I'll share again. As we don't have those lumps in this area, then we shouldn't spread it that far down, because over here is the sheen, and the sheen rarely bends, so we should just introduce a bit of those wrinkles, but not overly done. So maybe have some of them kind of spread out like that. Spread from the folds that we get from the back of the knee. So we're just gonna add in a bit of those folded skin. And the surfaces are kind of mundane, so we'll again add in some of those lumps, but just not clustered this much. We will spread them out, just lightly introducing them. I'm just gonna use this. Right, the knees has way more folds. Just that they are maybe more kind of micro and small, but for our case I think we need to see it from quite far, so having it more obvious and larger will be helpful. So I'm gonna come in and add in those additional protrusions. Right, and then smoke them out. So I want to do the same for this side. I think next bit I'm gonna go into Marvelous Designer and clothe the guys. And then go back to rigging again, paint weight, bind skin, paint weight, try animating. I've been contemplating whether I want to animate the characters, but there's just so many of them with so many different text animation sets. I'm kind of hoping I could get some from Mixamo and then blend it with some handmade animation that I do. But one thing for certain though, it's that the Molna, which is the boss, I would like to animate most of it myself. So maybe that's where I will spend my budget, my time, and see how far I go. And then if I do have extra capacity, I'll animate the other clickers and then animators. Sorry, the clickers. The seekers and the screamers. Still calling it clickers because of the very similar gameplay type. I'm also not sure how you guys feel about the game, the concept of the gameplay, like verticality, base building, looting, crafting, zombie fighting. I'm also hoping with all these characters coming in, things can start moving towards a more polished look, right, than just the UE Unreal Engine's default scene with default mannequin, with default everything. I'm hoping to kind of start pushing the visuals towards something representative. Now that most of the systems are up, yeah, we are still missing the base building features, but I think those can come later. For now, I'm more concerned about the combat and also how we navigate around a gameplay area. So that ties strongly into the characters' animation, the way they interact with the environment, the height, the behaviors of AI, right? AI is in the AI bots in Unreal in the game. And that again ties back into like the character size, scale, design, animation, which is why we are doing this now, because there is a upstream or rather downstream dependencies to get this as close as we can as possible, and then maybe even the characters could get us excited for a while longer, and then from there we can build something together. As I mentioned, it's getting a bit mundane, so let's add in a few lumps here and there just to give a bit of a surface detail. But just to be careful you don't create something that is too consistent. Let's say like circles that are too equally spread out, or they have like equal sizes. Right, so something like that, like a small addition here would give you some bit of surface details. And you don't necessarily have to come in with the slice tool, the Damien standard tool. You can just come in and sculpt to give a bit of an undulating surface, and that's also giving surface treatment that is a bit more subtle. Right, and then once you find that it's too much, just use the H polish to kind of press it back in again. Press it back in, and then from here, some of this back in. Oh, we're at the 44 minutes mark now. Yeah, pretty much it's repeating. As I mentioned as well, I know my live stream timing is not regular, but if we have gained enough crowds, I know for certain that there will be audience watching, then I'll be more stringent in keeping up with the same time slot. But for now, there's nobody watching, so it doesn't really matter when I'm streaming. It's more people watching after the streaming is done and uploaded into YouTube. I'm also hoping like this whole sculpting process, just by viewing it and watching it, it's therapeutic as well. And just seeing the sculpture adding details and just enjoying this art form, not just trying to learn from it, but also just enjoying this art form. It's pretty therapeutic, at least for myself when I'm sculpting, right? And also me kind of speaking about my mental strategy in approaching these sculptures, not just a technical display on screen. It's also the psychological strategy that is at play in the background. Right, how I break things down, a bit of art direction as well, a bit of designing, art, and then of course the software's technical know-how. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll continue the limb here. Maybe the next time when you see it, it will be complete. Maybe around the limb area, sorry, the hands, the wrist area, I would like to add some of this similar treatment, but maybe lighter because the top is pretty heavy at this point with lots of details, and then maybe a bit of clothing. I'm certain that when I'm in Marvelous Designer, we will do another live stream so that you can see how I'm using Marvelous Designer to dress the zombie up, right? But I don't think it's gonna be heavy. His belly clothed, just so that we don't see like naked body parts. Yeah, so kind of torn pants and shirts, and then we can also decide which areas are more clothed, and we want to balance up that details as well, so that we don't overdress or over detail certain surfaces or under detail certain surfaces because of that changes. All right, so that's it. I'll see you